Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. In case you didn't know, that's the Lexus flagship, and that is the Lexus version of a Mercedes S-Class. It's quite nice, but I wouldn't have that particular one because it's a hybrid, and I've read that the hybrid isn't all that much good as it's loud and noisy. I'd have just the ordinary gasoline fueled one. It's a standard V6, but you can have four-wheel drive, so if I had that kind of money, but I don't. Anyway, enough about that. As you know, last week I did a video about zombie companies and the mass tech layoffs and how it's going to affect women. I found a bit more on that theme, namely this. As you can see, it's a site called Fractal, and DEI teams hit by tech layoffs, a lesson to be learned. Now, you should bear in mind that nearly all these DEI teams are populated by women, and in America, more often than not, it's women of colour. Now, this was done on November 28th this year, and it drops down. DEI teams, global organisations including Amazon and Twitter, have been hit with alarming mass redundancies. They've sent shockwaves around the world. And if you got down, the tech sector has been overhiring for some time due to the surge in tech startups, including post-COVID-19 solutions. There's a stark contrast in the boom in DEI initiatives that came after the Black Lives Matter. That is not wrong. All lives matter, not just black. At this time, companies from many sectors made a commitment to propose diversity and inclusion in the workplace. All well and good. These Mac Tech layoffs are undoing all the positive progress that they say that these companies have made since that time. For one thing, going back to the promise of nurturing diversity is going to have a big impact on organization's brand. Now, this may be smile. Employees, especially those from younger generations, are less likely to accept a job if they perceive a lack of inclusion in the workplace. Bullshit. An employee, especially young, sees a paycheck at the end of the week or end of the month, and that is his primary or her primary motivation to get that job. If they don't want it through this perception, then there's always somebody else that will take that job, and then they'll still be unemployed. And this bit, the same applies to consumers. Increasing numbers are looking for brands that have made a public commitment to ethical working practices, including diversity and inclusion. Again, bullshit. When I go shopping, I have a look at the price. I don't really bother much about the commitment to ethical working practice, including diversity and inclusion. I just see if it's cheaper than the one brand or not. Okay, I might have a sort of semi-look at that, but my plain motivation to getting that product is the price. And I suspect that's the same with all of you. Now it goes down, tech companies under fire. A number of global tech companies have announced major cuts in their DEI teams this month. That's most notable Amazon, Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft, and Refin. Never heard of them, so I don't know what about. When Musk took over, he drastically reduced his DEI team from 30 employees to 2. You all seen the video of a day in Twitter before Musk took over. Most of those DEI team will be women. The leadership has been set. Twitter employees also claim the leadership has stopped setting long-term DEI goals, probably because Musk's seeing that a DEI goal is detrimental to company profits. Disney take note. Both of these factors have a huge impact on the company's ability to promote DEI initiatives. I would say in the future, Twitter's going to drop DEI initiatives altogether. And then you can click on that for a video, that lady telling you about it. Tech layoffs have impacted DEI Twitter in other ways too. When Twitter announced cuts, Musk bought the company. Layoffs included 57% of female workers. We all saw the female workers in those videos, hardly doing any work. And then Amazon has laid off 18,000 employees. Many of these redundancies including roles in human resources, again, mostly populated by women, affecting many DEI professionals. Amazon announced a hiring freeze, suggesting that there isn't going to be any further investment into DEI for some time. And then Facebook is saying, why are these happening? We've already mentioned economic general downsizing. Where is it? Many of these DEI professionals are hired in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement. In other words, they jumped on the bandwagon, as I said last week, so they haven't been on the payroll for long. And this means DEI terms have been pushed to the front of the layoffs line. No, the companies the C-suite have seen the finances and the books, and they decided there's a lot of deadwood to go, namely DEI deadwood. Other important factors: many organizations do not understand or appreciate the benefits of promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. How's that working out for you, Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, and Disney per se? And then it goes down more yada yada. DI initiatives based on principles of diversity, yada, and then more yakking about it. But it all boils down to they're still being laid off no matter what they say. And I found this to support that article. Research finds 65% women are 65% more likely than men to lose jobs in the ongoing wave of technical layoffs. The women won't be in the front line, hard edge on the coal face. They'll be more in support roles. Tech layoffs have been impacting women at a disproportionately higher rate than men, representing a possible setback in the industry's efforts to improve its gender diversity, according to research talent agency platform Eightfold AI. But we've all seen comments in the MGTOW channels on YouTube about what's happening in workplaces when there's a lot of women in the office. And it goes a bit more about it. And in raw numbers, due to the great number of men in tech, the cutbacks are impacting more men than women. Yes, because the men are more inclined to technical jobs than women. However, the research means that an individual woman in the industry is more likely to lose her job. Maybe so. If she's in a support role, the companies have to cut back because they're running out of money. And it's a little article. Moving on. A comprehensive list of the 2023 tech layoffs. Now, if you drop down, you get that. If you total that up, it's a little over 250,000. And if you drop down further, the number of graphs, the January was a big layoff, February, March, and then it decreased. We're now in December, which would be here. So what's going to happen in January next year? Maybe even more layoffs. And then if you drop down, all the companies and what they're laying off. The e-commerce company known for its one-click, subject to federal probe, embattled self-deriving company, cutting 900 workforce, XT, Chipper Cash, never heard of these companies. You lot being, most of you are Americans, you'll have heard of these companies, because I would say that all these are American companies. It would be the fourth round of layoffs this year. In other words, that company is in severe financial difficulty. And Smile Direct Club, 3 months after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and citing $900 million in debt. So, who decides to get laid off? Company's financial situation. If a company is facing financial difficulties, it may need to lay off employees in order to reduce costs. Going back to that one. That's a prime example of that situation. A company's business strategy. If the company is changing its business strategy, it may need to lay off employees who are no longer needed in the new strategic direction. That would be DEI teams. And then that's the conclusion. And why? Because the zombie firms, all these companies, they're up to their ears in debt, and filing for bankruptcy of the Fed commits to higher interest rates, and that's what's triggering them all to start closing down and laying off staff. Roughly 10% of companies in the US are considered zombie firms, according to the Federal Reserve estimate published in 2021. So God only knows what it is today, because that was 2 years ago. It could be 25%. Federal Reserve swift interest rate hikes are making long-suspected zombie firms go bankrupt. And in the 9 months of 2023, 516 companies filed for bankruptcy, according to S&P Global Intelligence. And then we got all the talk about it. The Fed says interest rates will remain higher for longer, given the fast pace of tightening. There may still be meaningful tightening in the pipeline. That means that it's going to start even getting worse next year. Federal Chairman Jerome Powell said in the Economic Club in New York speech on October 19th. So, what's going to happen to all these office buildings? I found this on Business Insider. These zombie office buildings could turn into 400,000 new apartments for families, almost double the number of US units in a typical year. But the question I ask, what rent are they going to be charging? Who's going to be wanting to move into a renovated office building? Over here in Britain, in the redevelopment, a lot of the old warehouses in London and Manchester, Liverpool and the other major cities, they were converted into apartments/flats, but the rent that they're charging is well outside the normal working man's wage, because you're looking at 500, 600, maybe 750, 800 pound a week. So in other words, unless you're earning at least £2,000 a month, which is £500 a week, then you're not going to get in these office blocks. So who's going to be moving in there? The rise of remote work, high interest rates and climate regulations all pose problems for office buildings. But the commercial real estate crisis could be a major opportunity to expand the US housing supply. A new study found that more than 2,000 US office buildings could be converted in up to 400,000 apartments. But depending where the jobs are, it's no good moving into an empty office building if the job that you're doing is on the other side of the town. The only thing to get people moving into cities is to have jobs there and affordable housing there. But that's not going to happen. And it just goes on. A new network paper, National Bureau of Economic Research in Arpit Gupta, Candy Martinez and Sinjin Van Nieuwebro, they sound Indian, finds more than 2,000 office buildings in American downtowns could be converted into eco-friendly apartment buildings. But and also a question, where's the money coming from to convert all these buildings into apartments? And if the economy picks up, then, and firms need to move back, they can't move back into these buildings because they're being converted into apartment buildings. These conversions could lead up to 400,000 new apartment units and at minimum over 170,000 new units. A major boon in cities simultaneously inflicted with housing crisis and empty office towers. And then it goes on, more yada yada yada. Now, all these women are being laid off from tech jobs, but it's not all bad news for women, because I found this. 28 companies invested in the success of women at work. These employees are actively looking towards gender equality in the workplace, but this was done on March 8, 2022, before the Fed started rising interest rates, which is affecting zombie companies and causing them to go bankrupt or severely reduce their workforce. It says, while more women are working their way into the C-suite, women's career woes are far from solved in 2021, and more face roadblocks long before they near a corner office. After 5 years of research, McKinsey and Leon have found most women are derailed in their first few years in the workforce, when the first promotion is delayed or never happens. What happens if she wants a family in the first few years? She gets a job. She's in her early 20s. She's in her mid-20s then. She starts getting broody, and she starts getting the first sign of baby rabies. Is she going to quit a job for a year while she has her children? And then once the child is born, or at childcare, does she stay at home looking after the child, or employs a nanny to bring the child up? And that all these questions these articles never answer. And then it goes on about all these different companies that are taking on women. Like this one, Abbott. Since its inception in the 1800s, Abbott has always had women leaders, so it's not surprising that the medical supply company is still leading workplace for women today. And then there's a list. You can go down, read it yourself. Now, you get the office job. You're working towards the C-suite. Let's just click on that, see what that brings up. Percentage of women in C-suite roles is inching up. This was done 24th of April 2019, or 4 years ago. Percentage of the women in C-suite put them on the top 1,000 US companies by revenue has risen slightly in the last year, but still dramatically lower than that of men, a new study found. And yada yada about it. But take that lady. She's in a C-suite job. She's single. She's got no children, but she's looking for love. I found this. Why high-achieving women can struggle to be as successful in love as they are in their careers. This was done on 31st of March 2019, or 3-4 years ago. Highly achieving, intelligent women can sometimes struggle to have the same success in their romantic lives as they do at work, i.e. this woman, even though she's probably just a model. Relationship coach Sammy Wonder thinks it is because they are too used to approaching their dates with their masculine energy. I've seen lots of comments on YouTube commentary for MGTOWs and in the comment section saying that same thing, and I've also covered that in 1 or 2 of my videos. This means they apply what they learned at work to be forceful and in control of their dating lives, but they can't achieve this with love. Masculine and feminine energies are polar opposites of each office. The people should be in touch with both to have the highest relationships. So these career women, like her, needs to be masculine in the office, but when she leaves the office and going on dates, she has to be feminine, friendly, and let the man lead. In other words, be a woman, not be a pseudo-man. It says, otherwise successful women can tend to attract men who are too passive, i.e. beta Billy, and they tire from always putting the work in, as women on TikTok have complained. They said during the first few dates with someone, you're both at your best behaviour. And then after a few months, some things can turn sour and the relationship might fizzle out. This even happens to women who are high achieving and successful in their careers. They know exactly how to get what they want. There you go. What's that? Must be a movie, war film. Sorry about that, people. Where was I? So they don't. So why do they find it a struggle to get a partner to commit? Because she's a boss babe, and she could be an intolerable bitch. Relationship coach someone thinks she has figured out why. Well, I could tell you why. Guys don't like boss babes. Somehow when a man is in front of them, they're not their best selves. I think so many senior executives, CEO, business professionals, they become lied down. There's something there that is not enough. And then more yada yada. We feel like we have to work hard for love. And that's the same psychology that we apply in work. And then more yada yada. How business women can attract a top 10% man or a top 1%, forgetting that these men have options. Anyway, to wrap it up, all these jobs are going in tech and women are being laid off. But I found this. The most in-demand jobs heading for 2024 and the ones that are most quittable. Now it just yada yada about it, but the second page, it says, pay scale calculates the jobs that are most in demand and how much wage growth these jobs saw in 2023. The top 10 jobs are assistant manager, customer service, that could be both men and women, hairstylist, also men and women, but then we get master plumber, 21% wage growth, that's mostly guys. Automotive body repairer, that is most 99.9% guys. Job coach, that could be 50-50. Audio-visual technician, that is mostly guys. Remember, in these tech jobs, guys are more focused on tech than women. Same with this, animator, that would be the movie industry. That's mostly men. Fitness coach, that is 50-50. I've seen women fitness coaches as well as guys. Roofer, that is 100% guys. Women are not going to be a roofer out in all weathers. And general manager, that's more on, often than not, is guys. As for the jobs that workers are most interested in quitting, these jobs that could command higher prices or better work-life balance, or jobs that were performing remotely during the pandemic and whose companies now are requiring more in-office time. And then he goes, employers need to pay attention for fast-moving jobs so they can make recommendations for pay increases based on market adjustments. One of the major adjustments is getting rid of DEI teams, and most of these DEI teams are women because of the tech layoffs and because a lot of these companies have just run out of money and they can't afford to keep them on. I think I'm way over the 20 minutes again, so I'll have to wrap this up, people, but it looks like this thing is just starting, as Better Bachelor said in one of his videos, and next year could be even more bankruptcies, which leads to more women, which leads to more women complaining on TikTok because they can't get a guy because high-achieving women think they're pseudo-men, and the guys that they're after just don't want them. I think I am on over 20 minutes now, so you know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. It's completely up to you. I won't be doing one of these next week because it's Christmas Day and I want to do my Christmas message to all my subscribers, both new and old, as if the king can do it in my country and his mother, the old queen, could do it, then I can do it. So that's it till Christmas Day. Yeah, that's it. You know the routine. Till next Monday, that's it. Bye-bye.